So I'm going to be using the Wacom tablet for this. If you want to know how to set up the Wacom, go into the tutorial that I've made about that. So I just first of all just duplicate that layer, and this is the only destructive thing I'm going to do. This is something that can't be changed later on. I'm just going to take away and clean up this image a little bit using the stamp tool and the healing brush. Start with the stamp tool just here. Take that down a little bit, and I'm just going to pick off just a few little pieces. Put the opacity up to around 70%. I don't like it to be 100%, and you can see straight away that's why I don't like it. I'm not keen on that at all. So let's, instead of using the stamp, we're going to use a healing brush and just start to take away a few of these excess whiskers that we've got here. Just nicely away with that healing brush. It's just a little more subtle, I think, the healing brush for certain things. I'm not going to try and get rid of it too much. Just one or two down here that maybe will be better with the stamp tool just down at the bottom here. And again, just at 70%, so I can go over a few times. I can use a little bit of pressure on the Wacom tablet if I need to. Just cleaning things up just a little bit. I'm going to go in with the healing brush. I think here will be a better one to use than the stamp. Just tidying it up just a little bit. To come up. Just zoom in a little bit more, see what we've got. It's a pretty clean image. So we found a little bit at the top there. That looks like a job for the stamp, for the clone. Set that down. Just one or two little pieces. I mean, you can go nuts with this, really. And there's a big black bit there, the big whisker. Not sure we want that in. Let's get rid of that a little bit. There we go, just take that whisker away. There's a few whiskers up there. I don't mind those so much. Maybe the bit on the ear we can get rid of that a little bit more. And I'm just looking to clone pieces from nearby bits that look a little bit similar to where we're going to be going. I think that's alright there. Just going to bring the brush size up a little bit. Take the opacity right down. Just to clean that edge up just a touch. There's a little bit of a telltale sign that we've done some business there. So if I come down with the opacity on these, that's just going to smooth things over just a little bit. You can just see there we've just got a little bit, very subtle. And I'm not keen on this big white blob over here, so we'll do a little bit with the white blob. Let's go up with the opacity on the stamp tool. Let's go to around 50%. Push just a little bit bigger, and then we can start to edge away a little bit. Not sure what the hardness on the brush is. And from this side at it as well. That was doing me any favours, so let's just take a little bit from over here. There we go. If we come up a little bit, let's go right down with the opacity and bring something from down in the bottom here. There we go. So I'm quite happy with what we've got there. I'm going to come up to the layers, duplicate everything, and then I'm going to duplicate that layer 2 more times. So I've got layer 2 copy, and layer 2 copy 2. I'm not going to change the names of those. A lot of people do, but I'm not sure it really helps you guys going through changing that. So layer 2, I'm going to turn off the top 2 layers, go for layer 2, and I'm going to add a Gaussian blur to that. Now I want that blur just to be starting to take things away. I still want to be able to see the image, just knock it off kilter a little bit, if you will. There we go. Now if I turn on the top layer, and I'm going to apply the image again here, apply image, I'm going to go for taking my layer from layer 2, and in the blending option I'm going to go to subtract. And just look at what that does there. It just gives me a grey image, but you can see those lines. Those are now going to be we'll be making those sharp, if you will. So I'll just show you what the applied image is there. We set to scale 2, offset on 128, 100%, subtract on the blending options from layer 2. I'm going to cancel that, then we don't do it again. So once we've got that image, it's just a grey, so we need to come over here to the blending options, go down to linear light, and that's going to bring everything back to normal. Watch what happens when I turn that off and on. We go from the blurred image, that's going to give me all those nice sharp highlights, and if I turn on the second layer from the top, layer 2 copy, watch how sharp that becomes now. If I turn off that top layer, the sharpening layer, just look at the difference there. Now, some might think that's a little too much. So, watch what happens when I turn that layer off. All I'm going to do now is take that second layer down, I'm going to pop a mask on it, and I'm going to invert that mask. So that takes everything away, all that sharpness away, and I'm just going to draw back in using my brush tool. I'm just going to draw back in where I want it sharp. So I've got a white colour going on a black mask. Opacity I'm going to put to about 20 odd. I'm just going to start to paint that back in. Let's show you what happens when I go up to 100. Let's zoom in a little bit on that just so you can see. We'll go for this little bit here. You see? Just look how sharp that's becoming. I'll just take that back a little bit, back to about 60. Zoom out a little bit, and I'm just going to draw around the edges that I really want to be sharp. So the nose, the eyes, around the mouth, and probably all around the face area really. So definitely the nose, definitely the eyes, around the edge of the ears. Just going to get some definition in that fur there. Just around the face. So you can see on my layer mask where I'm going over the white bits. I'm just going to get pretty much all of that face in. That just sharpens up that entire face now. Just turn it off. Look at the difference there. I'm maybe just going to do very lightly around the rest of the body there, and I'm going to leave the background entirely. so the background's going to just get a little bit of extra blur on there. So I've really heightened up those eyes and the edges of the skin, the edges of the fur, sorry. And what I'm going to do now is duplicate everything again. So everything that's underneath that layer, all of that is now existing in one layer, that's layer 3. And now I'm going to copy that layer 3. So now I've got 2 layers to work on to do my darkening and highlighting, really give you that HDR look. So layer 3 copy, I'm going to go down to multiply. Multiply is just underneath darken. So in my layer blend mode, I'm going to darken the image, so multiply just underneath darken, invert that, sorry, so just underneath darken, I'm going to put a layer mask on there, and I'm going to invert that layer mask. So now nothing's happened, and if I draw on white, on that black layer mask, I'm going to go to about 10%. Anything that I draw now is going to darken on that mask. So I'll start in darkening up those eyes just a little bit, just around the edge of the eyes. I'm going to come back and do a little bit more later on, but just for now, really darkening with those eyes. And again, it's not at a massive percentage, it's just at 11% I'm set, so I like to go somewhere between 9 and 12, so 11 is just about perfect. I always like to do a little bit around the eyes, I do a bit around the nose. I start off with finer details, and then I start to broaden up. So let's just go, you can see the nose is just getting a bit darker. Go under the mouth there. Right in the blacks of the nose, on the tip of the nose. And now we'll start to add in a little bit in the shadows. So up under the eyes there, we've got some shadow. Wherever you can see shadow, I'm just going to start exaggerating that a little bit, just making it a little bit darker in those shadows. And I'm going to do exactly the same with the lights in a second. But anyway, you can see I'm just zooming in and out with the brush size, making it bigger and smaller as I go along. It's very, very quick. You can take as much time as you want and go into as much detail with you want with this, but this is, for me, it's quite a quick process now that I know where I am with it. There's a bit up there on the forehead. Just zoom out a little bit more. Down here we've got some fur. So anywhere I'm seeing shadows, I'm going in and doing some shadows, and now we can come in with a little bit more fine work if we choose, and start to pick out some hairs. So we'll go really down with a fine brush, really fine brush, and I'm starting to put in a few darker hairs. Put some dark hairs in around the ears. Let's just boost that opacity just a little bit. And I'm just starting to paint in. It's almost drawing, really. I'm not sure where photography stops and drawing starts, but I'm just going in a little bit. We'll go a little bit darker, just so you can see this a bit more. Going with some very fine lines. I'll just show you, we'll zoom right in and I'll show you exactly what I'm doing. You can see those lines going in on the ears there. I'm just painting in extra bits of fur, really. Around the eyebrow. Okay, let's call that a day there. And the blacks, just show you with and without. And then the layer underneath, we're going to do exactly the same with the highlights. So layer 3, blending mode, if you go to lighten, just underneath lighten is screen. So we'll go to screen, pop a layer mask on, and invert that layer mask. So if I now paint, wherever I paint white onto the layer mask, that's now going to brighten. So we'll just brighten up the eyes a little bit, bring that opacity down to, again, around the 10% mark. I always like to go in and give a little twinkle in the eyes. Just really where the highlights are already there, just extenuate those just a little bit. Bring some of those highlights up. Over on this eye. Again, down on the nose, there's always a highlight on the nose. It's nice to shine that up a little bit. Wherever the natural highlights are, I'm just exaggerating them. Zoom out just a touch. Now we can start to go in with a slightly bigger brush. And just wherever the natural highlights are, just lightening those up on the ears. And again, just zooming in and out with the brush size. Usually you'll find that it's like on the opposite side of shadows really is where we'll be. Down in the white here. And then again, just going to zoom right in and start to add in some really fine hairs here and there, just a few. Up that opacity, so you get to see a look at, to add in those white hairs. Okay. And again, just show you what it is by toggling that on and off. His eyes are just a little bit wider, a little bit brighter. So I'm now just going to add in an adjustment layer. Going to bring in a saturation layer. Bring the saturation right up, and then just pop a mask on that and invert that mask. What that's going to allow me now to do is just to paint into the eye a little bit. Get some of that blue coming from that special eye there. A bit more in the brown. Let's just get a little bit of the hazel from that brown. Just brighten those up a touch. I think that'll do. So now I'm going to add in an adjustment layer. I'm going to load a LUT. Go down. I always like to add this one particular LUT myself. It's a soft warming LUT, and I'm going to bring the opacity right down. It just gives me a little overall look on that. Again, we'll bring another one in just to bring that saturation up for the whole thing. And then we'll bring in a levels. And this is just all personal preference now. So I'm quite happy with that. So I'm now going to save that back into Lightroom. We'll pop back into Lightroom here. That gives me, you can see the before and after. So now I'm just going to do a few little adjustments in Lightroom. Some of the blue saturation up, let's go up with the vibrancy on everything over here. A little bit of clarity. Zoom in here, go up with the sharpening on that, sharpen that right up. Put plenty of masking. You can see it's quite a purple tone on there, so we'll go in and we'll bring some of the purples down a little bit, so we can get rid of some of those purples on the saturation. Just a little bit of green. Up with the blues again. little bit of dehaze. Now I like to put in a little bit of a vignette. Some people don't, but I do. I like a little vignette in there. Maybe come up with those blacks just a touch. And there we go. Using the Wacom to edit, putting some nice high dynamic range in there, sharpening things up with a frequency separation, and it gives us a really nice striking image. Hope you liked it. There's plenty more pictures to take, plenty more tips and tricks to teach. Stay tuned. I'm Matt the Dog. Thanks for watching.